Hey guys, this is the PPC Questions and Answers podcast. My name is Chris Schaefer, and with me, as always, is my always ready to look at the camera, Jason Rothman. Hi, Jason. You ready to answer some questions?
Chris, you usually give out plugs that we didn't agree to before the show, so you just want to go ahead and get it out of the way. ChrisSchaefer.com, coaching, AdWords management. You happy now?
Oh, yeah, because I forced you to say that. Yeah, sure. Rothman PPC for everything else to get the best AdWords management you can possibly get.
Thanks. Yeah.
Not just movers. He does everything, really, everything. All right, so our question for today comes from Omar. Omar he did not give his information about where he's from. So as we always do, we like to put a little background on Omar. Omar is it's really cool. Omar emails us. He's actually the priest at one of the largest temples in Kansas, which is pretty cool. Thanks for emailing us, Omar, taking some time out there. So here's his question. He says, I'm performing a little consulting on the side for an old acquaintance in his business. The site on his website and the conversion that would be filled out does not have a thank you page. Okay. So his website doesn't immediately, when you hit submit, doesn't immediately jump over to a thank you page. Okay. So the page that generates the form is just has a little pop-up that says, form completed. So there's no URL change. Okay. So he has a problem with tracking conversions. Says, have you had this challenge before? Can you share your experience? Have you worked with any clients that use this type of system? So here's the thing, Omar. This is a very common problem. Jason, I know you certainly have dealt with this before with conversion tracking. What are your thoughts on if a client comes to you without a thank you page? How do you approach conversion tracking for something like that?
Well, there's a couple options here. The first, Omar, he had mentioned a company specifically that the website's part of their platform.
He did. He said,
Squarespace. So always do a Google search like Squarespace AdWords conversion tracking or Shopify AdWords conversion tracking. A lot of those platforms have documentation on special areas in their software where you can slap in code. So always look for that.
And the reason is because AdWords is such a widely used system and conversion tracking such a common issue that people need. You can very often do a search for the provider plus AdWords plus conversion and find some type of help solution or something like that. So go ahead.
Right. Now, more generally, if you don't have a thank you page that the form takes someone to, it just stays on that page, you have a couple options. The first option is one I learned about from Chris. You go to your website conversion that you created in Google AdWords. At the bottom area where you're clicked into it and it says install your tag, you have a bolded drop-down option that your eye pretty much glances over unless you know about this, that says choose whether to track conversions on a page load or a click. Page load is the default option. That is a thank you page, but a click is what you want. So you click that drop-down, change the radio button to click, and then it gives you some code and instructions to put that code on the submit button or the whatever the button is called. And that way you can track clicks on the button. The other way, Chris, is to create a goal in Google Analytics. And it is an event tracking goal. And you put that event tracking code from Google Analytics on the submit button. And then you import those Google Analytics goals into AdWords as a conversion.
Right. So there's an extra step. There with that one, you have to import that as a goal in analytics. So there's a bit more involved there. So the easiest way,
the easiest by far,
to just create the click conversion method rather than the page load conversion method directly in AdWords itself. Is that right?
Right. Yep. And in terms of what you do after that, now I can tell you slap the page load code in the body of a thank you page. That's not that complicated, Chris. In terms of what the click conversion code, where that goes, I don't really know, but it seems like
that's a question. Yeah. If you were watching the programming questions and answers show, then we would answer that. But you're watching the AdWords.
Yeah, it gives instructions. You just send those instructions to your web developer. And if you're in Squarespace, hopefully they have some kind of way to help you, but it goes actually on the button, however that happens. But there are instructions inside of Google AdWords.
Yeah. Okay. So just to be clear, if you don't have a thank you page, you're looking for a way for people to convert when they do an action, they do an event, which is clicking. If you do have a thank you page, what you're looking for is a page load. So when a person views a page, done. Immediately when that pixel or that piece of code loads, then the conversion's done. So it's two very different ways of tracking. The only difference, they're all the same. The only difference is depending on how your website works. There's no correct way to do it. It's not, one's not necessarily better than the other. It's just different methods depending on how your website has been built. So Jason, is that it?
That's it. I'm not angry. I'm not going to storm off the set today.
Well, I am contractually obligated to say the following. Please visit Rothman PPC for excellent PPC services, and he can provide what you need as far as PPC and AdWords and all those things. Please call.
You know, Chris, I like a more seasoned client. I like a client that has a lot of AdWords history built up in their account. So if you're listening to this and you're a Chris Schaefer client, those are specifically the people I would like to visit my website. I'm just kidding, buddy. I'm just kidding, buddy. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Well, that's funny because my clients don't know how to do a podcast, so nobody's listening. So, well, there are a few, but shh,
I'm messing with you, Chris.
Don't tell anybody. All right.
Yeah,
well, thanks.
Not storming off the set today.
Okay.
I'm not angry about anything, and wrap us up here. Wrap up, buddy.
Paid Search Podcast. You can send your questions in. Well, there's actually a .com at the end of that, isn't there? Isn't that how websites work? PaidSearchPodcast.com to send your questions in. And you too can be the object of our affection for all of 6 minutes. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back next time to answer your questions on the PPC Questions and Answers Show.
Nice.